Hey Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Samte Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Puchaline. Excuse me. Namaste Sunyavadi Pashtatar Satarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So welcome again, Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I think we're on part 26, and we've been discussing this subject, which is quite extensively covered in other books by His Holiness Shivarama Swami Maharaj as well, as devotional service in ecstasy, because this is what we're trying to achieve. Yeah, we have Vaidhi, Bhava, and Prema. So this is why we're executing sadhana. We are doing sadhana bhakti. The idea is that at some point, well, we're already blessed. At some point, we'll be blessed with a ray of prema. Yeah, that's what we're endeavoring for in our practice of Krishna consciousness, is to develop prema and thereby get the qualification to go to the spiritual world where everyone has prema. All right, so devotional service in ecstasy, also known as bhava. Okay. So I'm just going to flash this through the slides. I won't talk much in them, but here was one. We have to be patient. Yeah, so it's an invaluable quality to have in spiritual life is patience. Yeah. Uh, and then Maharaj is speaking about the general, what it is. Bhava, as we mentioned, it's a ray, it's a bud of attachment, of divine attachment to the Lord. And we gave a definition. This is from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. I can read this actually. It's a quite succinct definition of the stage of bhava. Next, when devotional service is executed on the transcendental platform of pure goodness, that's known as Suddha, it is like a sun ray of love for Krishna. At such a time, devotional service causes the heart to be softened by various tastes, and then one is situated in bhava, emotion. Yeah. So there's Sarup Lakshan and there's Tatastha Lakshan. What's the principal qualities and what's the Tatastha Lakshan as well. So we've been discussing that primary characteristics and secondary characteristics. It's good to hear this because then we can know what to look out for. Yeah. What to aspire for, what it is like. Yeah, it's nice to describe what prema is like, even though we may not have it. Yeah. Or some of you might have, but we may not have it to the full extent. It's good to speak about it because then it creates some inspiration to actually achieve it. So we discussed the primary characteristics already. We won't go over them again. You can look at the recordings if you missed that and interested to see it. Secondary characteristics. This is part of the secondary characteristics. Then we got to here. This is what we're discussing last week. So boiling down to it, we all want to know, how can we achieve this? Yeah. I mean, the answer may be quite simple in one sense. We chant Hare Krishna. That's the answer to everything. Yeah. But actually, good to fill in the dots, so to speak. Yeah. So achieving ecstatic devotion, it can be achieved by the mercy of Krishna or his pure devotee. Uh, but generally, the way that we're going to achieve that, and generally, the way that's given to us by Srila Rupa Goswami, he's given us a specific discipline, I don't know if that's the right word, but specific process or a rigorous practice, yeah, by which we can invoke this special mercy of the Lord. So let me just, yeah. Now then, just trying to pick up where we left off last week. So just to summarize this section here, we've been mentioning two different types of practice. One is Vaidhi sadhana, one is Raganuga sadhana. So Raganuga sadhan is means one's more concentrated upon one's source of smaran is the residence of Vrindavan. Yeah, and also one may not be perfect. One is following that particular inspiration or that particular path. So that is known. Somebody might hear of that as called Raganuga sadhan. Okay, and then there's also the path of ardent following of Vaidhi. So both lead to spontaneous devotional service. Both paths lead to devotional service. So you go. But you find most devotees will practice. I was thinking about this today. Most devotees will practice a mixture, especially as devotees are following Vaidhi like we are. Externally, we're all following the principles of Vaidhi, but then for regular chanting of the holy name without the fence and listening to Srimad Bhagavatam and taking association of devotees, we are going to be spontaneously inspired. Yeah. So it's going to be a mixture. We're going to be doing our regulated activities given by the spiritual master, which we will find some joy in doing. But also, you're going to find devotees will also be including in their regular sadhana, regular reading and hearing about Krishna and the resonance of Vrindavan. And they may find that may become a great inspiration to their spiritual practice. Yeah. To a point, at some point, especially after the stage of Nishtha, they may need that every day. They don't need it, but they want it. Yeah, that's what they hear about the resonance of Vrindavan and are becoming greatly inspired. Yeah. So they're not, yeah, so they're still following Vaidhi. So it's mixed. So it's not generally those don't fit in, maybe one or the, it's not just one or the other. Generally it's mixed. Like some of you, I'm sure some of you are, and let me see how many here, it's not so many, but some of you are sure got a taste for reading about Krishna in the Krishna book. You've been practicing devotional service many years. So that's actually an aspect of, if you're inspired by the resonance of Vrindavan and you'd like to hear about them, you're actually practicing some type of Raganuga Bhakti. All right. That may not be the full definition, the full manifestation of that, but that's the path. But you're following a regulated life as well. Hopefully, you may be having a morning program at home. You're trying to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, and you're following our regulated principles. All right. Any questions as we go along? I'm always happy to field them. Please feel free to ask or if anything needs to be clarified. Yeah. So
I was just thinking
yeah,
something. I was thinking, you were saying we like prema, right?
yeah,
But when we are feeling, when you're thinking something or when somebody says something, how the negativity, sorry, I can't really speak,
negativity.
comes in and all that. So there we could like you can feel that if we had that prema, if we could just see Krishna in everything, all the
Yeah.
junk that goes on in our mind and feelings, all that won't be there. So, that's like aspiring to get to that point,
Yeah.
to that you can see Krishna in everything. That's what, like, to me, that's what prema is all about. Like, everything for Krishna and nothing for me,
Yeah,
right?
it's correct. That's exactly what if you read Krishna book, you read Krishna's pastimes in the books of the Goswamis and other places, that's what the spiritual world is. Everyone's completely focused on Krishna. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we may be affected by the modes of material nature, and we may be associating with those affected by the modes of material nature. So we may not be transcendental. So, yeah. But someone who is transcendentally situated, as you correctly saying, they are it's like in Bhagavad Gita. Many verses describe how devotees are equipoised, they're always peaceful, always peaceful. They see everything as the mercy of the Lord, even the so-called reversals in life. Yeah. So yeah, this is our challenge. This is what I experienced on the on the platform of the changing modes of material nature. Yes. So now
Good question.
regulative practice, the results Maharaj mentions may be a bit slower than those who are following the full-blown path of Raganuga, but often it is more secure of a practice. Yeah. So Maharaj mentions pace a moderate pace on the path of progress is better than an artificial taking up something which we may not be fully purified in heart to actually practice to the full extent. Yeah. So you could say full grown Raganuga Bhakti, as we mentioned, it requires a great transcendental greed. Yeah. So if it's taken up prematurely, it can often lead to controversy. If immature devotees take it up immaturely, it can lead to controversy, which it has done in our society. Often it takes on the form was someone becomes inspired by Raganuga Bhakti and they're following some aspects of it. And they think this will solve all the problems in ISKCON. If everyone takes up Raganuga Bhakti. Yeah, and I've got it down. I've got it down. I've transgressed the Raganuga. And actually, some people come to the erroneous and kind of erroneous and hyperbolical um, or insane judgment that ISKCON's only meant for Vaidhi Bhaktas. Therefore, anyway, you get the idea. Immature devotees, not very deep, don't really understand the real science of Krishna consciousness. Yeah. So most devotees they're going to find it's safer to purify our hearts through a regulative practice in the service of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yeah. And they may only take it up, the spontaneous devotion, when they're free from more or less all the um, kind of material platform defects. Yeah, they're free from Marge mentions they're free from all human defects. Now, again, hope this is not confusing everyone. If any questions, please feel free to ask. Now, an example of someone who achieved ecstatic devotion by this regulative practice is Narada Muni. Yeah, he was hearing from Vaishnavas, Bhagavatam, I should imagine, hearing from he was serving, his mother was serving, as we know, the Bhakti Vedantas, is mentioned in first canto. He wasn't on the path of a Raganuga son. He was on the path of, practicing Vaidhi sadhana, being inspired by the practice of some great devotees. And he followed them in their teachings on smaran, on dhyan and meditation. And he was taking, with their permission, he would take the remnants of their prasad. Yeah. So that's an example given of someone who achieves ecstatic devotion through regulative practice. Then an interesting example, which comes up a couple of times, is Chandrakanti, someone who achieved spontaneous devotion by hearing about Krishna's Rasalila and then dancing before the deity all, all night. It's an interesting example, but it's given there. She becomes blessed by Krishna. Krishna chose to bless her. All right. So I think
Hare
we're
Krishna.
just covering a bit what we covered last week. Okay.
Hare
So
Krishna. Prabhu, Mani Prabhu, could I just
yeah,
ask a question on
please.
that? Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
Palanima, yes, please.
Hare Krishna. So yes, just you just gave the example of Narada Muni as being the example of rigorous practice,
Yeah,
and then, but I'm just wondering because it seems that ultimately everybody comes to the point of ecstatic devotion by the mercy of devotees, because he himself came by the mercy of the traveling saints who came to see him.
yes.
So is it the difference between the two, that one is instantaneous? Is that sort of the difference, or is it like a 'cause it seems that they're both getting the mercy of great souls, that's why they're advancing.
Yeah, and do you see this next slide?
Oh, okay.
So we're going to discuss
Jumping
that.
on.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Very
Okay.
much, it's all dependent upon the association of great devotees. So we shall get there. That's the next slide. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah. Um, yeah, where was we? Yeah, we're down here. Yeah. So we've been given, Rupa Goswami, he gives, I think, 64 angas of devotion. And as we know, he gives specific five, especially very powerful to actually practice. So that's associating with devotees, chanting the holy name, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, living in Vrindavan, at least within the mind, and worshipping the deity. Yeah. So, 1 second, just moving a few things around. So it's good if we can have a, what's it called? If we're not satisfied with our advancement and we're feeling the flames of material attraction starting to dance in our heart and mind, yeah, which we thought were gone. Yeah, then we can have a look to make sure we're doing these five. Are we getting as much association with devotees as possible? Are we chanting the holy name without offense? Are we regularly hearing Srimad Bhagavatam? Do we understand the mood of Vrindavan? And are we worshipping the deity, either at home or pictures like that? So these are mentioned nectar devotion. Now let's go here. So this is a nice verse which is here. Satam pasanga mamavi samvido bhavanti kritkana rasayanat kata. Forgot the last line. That josna aso pavagi vatmani shati bhakti arati bhakti anukramishchate. So this is from third canto. In association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced in the path of liberation. Thereafter, he is freed and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begin. So sometimes I was thinking about this as well. I was reading this just a couple of days ago, that because we're so acclimatized with the culture of hearing class, some hopefully most of us here, yeah, then sometimes we become quite familiar with it, and we may find ourselves in a situation in life. We may, situations may change and circumstances may change where we're not actually hearing, we're not actually hearing from devotees about the science of Krishna consciousness. So we want to make sure that you know that we are being exposed. We are actually hearing, because that's as we will see here, that to hear from great Vaishnavas, it is compulsory for us to advance. And okay, so next week, okay, so what about hearing online? I mean, we're hearing online now, so something's better than nothing. Yeah. So, but I find from my experience, I'm much more attentive when I'm actually impersonally associating with a senior devotee. So we shouldn't underestimate the potency of actually getting the physical association of Vaishnavas and hearing from them. Yeah, just like today, I have to admit, I have something to admit now. I was listening to a class that my Guru Maharaj was giving this morning. Yeah. And I was eating a packet of crisps at the same time. Now, if I was doing that in front of my Guru Maharaj, I would be thrown out of the temple room. He would chastise me severely because that shows a lack of respect for the speaker. But when you're watching online, I'm sure it's so much, the tendency might be to do that. You may be even eating your breakfast, or then you stop listening online and you pause it and I mean, you understand. So when you're actually there in front of a devotee, it's very wow. It's very potent. Yeah, so we don't want to forget that, you know. There's Tripads coming in. Hare Krishna. So, yeah, he was there. Hare Krishna Tripad Prabhu, welcome. Special guest. Hare Bol, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear Prabhu, Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Bol, Gauda Premanande. Yeah. So let's not forget that associating with devotees, the best quality association is to hear directly from the Vaishnavas. Of course, something is better than nothing. So if we then we have online, but really it's not this really the real thing is to actually hear from the Vaishnavas directly, because also, you know, their personal association is very foul, is very powerful. So if we want to advance to this stage, we're speaking about the stage of bhava, okay, Tripat, achieving the stage of ecstatic love. So if we want to, we have to understand it's actually it is compulsory for us to hear from advanced devotees, not just beginners. Yeah, everyone should want to hear. That's what it means to associate with devotees. So if we want to, yeah, we advance, we can say you have to chant the holy name without offense. Yes, you have to eat prashadam. Yes, yeah, but also we need to hear from those whose hearts are saturated in affection and power for the Lord. Yeah, and it has a mystical effect. There's a couple of beautiful verses that describe the saffron particles of Krishna's lotus feet on the sound vibration of great devotees. Yeah, so we always want to seek out to hear from advanced devotees. And I think we can see that naturally devotees like to do that. So, for instance, if so and so Maharaj is giving class, then so many devotees come. They want to hear and say like Radhanath Maharaj is giving class. Then the temple room's packed. Because devotees know they're going to advance. They're going to, just by hearing from these great devotees, then the knots of material attachment are going to be slackened. So the sound is so powerful. Just like Prabhupada's, you know, he's so powerful. The sound vibration, Shabda Brahma, coming from a pure heart. So yes, so it's essential not just for beginners, but at all stages in our spiritual development. We want to be like bees trying to seek out the honey of the association of great devotees and try and get as much of it as we can. Okay, so yeah, there's a verse here from Caitanya-caritamrta. I don't have it up on a slide, but Krishna Bhakti Janma Mula. So you got the idea, Krishna Bhakti. Janma means, what does Janma mean?
Most.
Birth. What is Mula? The root. Yeah. Krishna Bhakti Janma Mula Hoy Sadhu Sangha. Krishna Prema Janma. You get the idea? Krishna Prema Janme from Sangha, Sadhu Sangha. Tenhu Purna Mukhya Anga. So the root cause of devotional service to Lord Krishna is association with advanced devotees. Yeah. Even when one's dormant love for Krishna awakens, association with devotees is still most essential. Yes, so even devotees at the stage of this stage is not as if that's it, it's all done, I've got it. No, they more association. Yeah. Yeah, because then Maharaj brings the point I'm making out here is that it's a common mistake to think that associating with advanced devotees means casual socializing, hanging out. I'm associating devotees because, you know, I'm eating pizza. I'm getting sadhu sangha. I'm eating pizza and ice cream. I mean, we should do these things with Vaishnavas, but it's not really it's not as if bhava is going to come from that. It's not as if, what is it, Krishna Prema Janma, you know, Sadhu Sangha. It's not going to come from associating with devotees who eat pizza and ice cream. I'm joking a bit. because I had pizza and ice cream the other day here in Mayapur. Okay. So yeah, so to associate devotees means to sit together and discuss Krishna's glories and the methods for advancing to the perfect stage. That's what means sadhu sangha. And there is quite a few, like we're doing sadhu sangha here, we're discussing the whole science of devotion, the methods of advancing, etc. So it's wonderful. And we have to say that this Zoom and online has opened that up more. There's quite a few reading sanghas going on online. Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, of course, we should always want to hear personally from advanced Vaishnavas as well. But yeah, we did to sit together and discuss Krishna's glories. Yeah. It's quite easy to do. I'm organizing a sangha here with some brahmacharis here. We're just going to sit down and we're going to sit in a circle, about 3 or 4 of us, and we're going to read Madhya-lila chapter 3 and 4, the internal or the internal or the external and the internal reasons for the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yeah. So we're going to have a sangha. Yeah, just do that. It's very powerful. Yeah, you shouldn't underestimate. And we need to do that to get Krishna prema. Discuss amongst devotees, because also Krishna also pleases Krishna very much. Krishna's smiling already, but when he sees us doing that, he smiles. He's very happy with us. Yeah. Yeah, because then Raj mentions here, yes. Yeah, only by such serious discussions can we realize the full potency of devotional service in a Vaishnav company. Yeah. Yeah, something else you hope you don't mind me mentioning, but couple of things which I observe. Sometimes devotees, they may be living together or staying together, maybe sharing a room or sharing a place with 3 or 4 rooms or something. And everyone goes into their room and they're just in their own little world on their own computer, you know. They're all but better, it's good if we can, if we're living with Vaishnavas, why not just, 2 hours every night or 1 hour every night, we just get together and discuss Sastra instead of all being in our own little worlds, in our own computer. Something, if we have the opportunity, you know. Yeah, just like these discussions are very nice, yeah. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada just reading here, he elaborates on this idea in in a wonderful summary. This verse summarizes this whole process so nice. Satampa sangam mama viya samvido bhavanti kritkana rasayanaha kata rasayana. In association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activities of, I read it again, we read it once already. The Supreme Person of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and to the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, you have to work in it, cultivate it constantly. One gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation. Thereafter, he becomes freed. So that's nishta, anartha nivritti. Then his attraction becomes fixed, shakti. Then real devotion and devotion or service begins. So I think Madhya. Okay. So real devotion in one sense could be seen, the stages before bhava is definitely you're practicing devotional service, but the stage of bhava, that's the real thing. Yeah, when your heart's purified and you're really relishing the exchanges of affection and love with Krishna. Yeah. Then real devotion and devotional service begin. Okay. Any questions, comments? No. So yeah, to answer your question, Balani Maipu, yeah, it's very important. Sadhu Sangha. Yeah, no matter what stage, yes. Chandravali Mother, yes.
Yeah, I was, you were saying like having pizza, whatever, with devotees is, going to gain some. In the same way, I was thinking when we stuck at home, so we're listening classes, online classes, right?
Yeah.
How do you work out for like some can go to the temple and listen properly and associate? How do we work out like, you're scrolling, no, I don't listen, this, that. I know everything's about Krishna, but you have to choose what is going to help you and yeah, which way you're going. So you want to kind of listen to that kind of things. Does that make sense?
I think so. I try and let me try and I mean, so you're basically saying, okay, some have the opportunity to attend regularly the temple and regularly hear class, and others don't. Is that right? Yeah, and others don't, maybe because of where we live or the situation we are in. You may not like you may not, or we may not like the answer, but you're just not going to advance. You're going to advance, but not as fast.
Mm.
You will advance, but not as advanced as you will be from regularly attending and hearing directly from Vaishnavas. Of course, if circumstances is such and we're very sincere, then even it's mentioned Bhagavad Gita, it's mentioned even if you don't have the opportunity to take shelter of a spiritual master in one purpose, but if you're very sincere, then yes, you can get Krishna prema. Yeah. Krishna can make that arrangement. But so the point is that sometimes online and all things like that make it so convenient that we forget about, we shouldn't underestimate the actual potency of actually hearing directly from Vaishnavas. I don't know if I'm answering your question, Baba Chandravali, but I'm just by saying yes. I'm sure you feel the difference when you hear from a senior devotee when you attend a lecture, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I
You
was
can feel it.
thinking.
Yeah, but
Like,
we need to get as much of it as we can. We're probably never going to be able to get as much as we want, you know. Especially if you're not a brahmachari, then you're living outside, then you want to make regular visits too. Definitely, if you're living outside, you want to be and you want to be part of a congregation. You want to be part of a temple, part of a congregation where you're regularly getting together with Vaishnavas and you're hearing. I mean, you don't want to be out there on the limb. You want to have a regular sangha of Vaishnavas. So somehow I would try and have some connection to sangha, to some sangha or some temple. That will help.
yeah, because I find devotees are quite comfortable doing whatever they're doing at home and just visiting, do the service, come home, and But I find that like you said, it doesn't help you advance as much as, like you said, going to the temple and really hearing properly.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're going too much in another direction. Sometimes devotees are quite they get caught out by the mode of goodness, Everything's they're kind of regulated, know how to to some degree they know how to interact to keep life like peaceful and clean. But the intense drive and need. We should always be endeavoring for perfection. It says in the Chatur Sloki, intense, Hare Krishna. All right, let's go in another direction. All right, so now let me just read this here. This is a quote from Prabhupada in the slide here. Could you read this, Bala Nemaikova, for us?
Yeah. In other words, when a pure devotee speaks, his words act upon the hearts of the audience. What is the secret of hearing and chanting? When a realized soul who is engaged in the service of the Lord is speaking, he has the potency to inject spiritual life within the audience. One should therefore seek the association of such pure, unalloyed devotees, and by such association and service a neophyte devotee will certainly develop attachment, love, and devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Okay, beautiful, right? So again, we may be struggling in spiritual life, struggling in so many ways. So we need to be injected with the potency of devotional service. Yeah, and that can come from hearing from a realized soul, from someone's advancing devotion. Yeah, they have the potency to inject spiritual life within the audience. Yeah, even those who are, may not be so favorable. Of course, it helps if you're favorably and you're hearing nicely. You get the idea? So we can get injected with the potency of devotion just by hearing from the Vaishnavas. Yeah. Now, at this stage of bhava, going another direction now, sometimes sattvika bhava, sometimes the symptoms can sometimes be or it causes uncontrollable physical symptoms to appear. So when I was speaking about these devotees at a highly advanced stage, and there's 8 symptoms which are given in a sastra called Ashta Shattvika Vikara, so transformations. So this ecstasy is such that it affects the physical body. Yeah, it describes in Nectar of Devotion what elements the ecstasy contacts and how it affects the physical body. So I haven't got those details, but here it's one is becoming stunned, perspiring, romancha kampo shutaranga bhajo vande goroshi taranada vindam, standing of the bodily hair, faltering of the voice, trembling, changing color. Anyone changing color? Shedding tears, astru, yeah, and appearing devastated, pralaya. Yeah, so you read about these in Caitanya-caritamrta. Now, Rupa Goswami speaks about this in Nectar of Devotion. Also, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur speaks quite strongly about persons who make a business of imitating these symptoms of ecstatic devotees. Yeah. So these sometimes they can be induced without spiritual advancement. Yeah. Just like actors learn to cry. One time I was taking taking lunch with what's his name? Our famous actor, young boy, Bobby. What's his other name?
Bobby Brazer.
Bobby Brazer. Yeah, we have a famous person. Wonderful devotee, wonderful down to earth, wonderful soul. So I was asking how was things, how was work, how was your? He said, "Oh, it's quite difficult at the moment. It's quite difficult." I said, "Oh, well, what's that? Why is it difficult?" He says, "Well, I have to cry." In the scenes that he's doing in EastEnders, he had to cry, and he says it's quite emotional. So what he had to do, what he had to do, he had to. I mean, unfortunately, his mother passed away from cancer. So he was thinking of his mother who passed away from cancer, and it sent forth a whole like chain of emotions, and he did what the director wanted. He was crying, but he induced it. Yeah. So Marge mentioned, as mentioned there, just as actors and actresses learn to cry or laugh, as needed, you know. Um, Pseudo devotees learn to display these symptoms while chanting Hare Krishna or speaking Srimad Bhagavatam. So for us, it may sound quite ludicrous, but for them, it's quite normal. In India, sometimes there's this sentimental understanding that when you attend the Bhagavatam recital, you have to go into some type of ecstasy. Anyway, I won't go any further. So yeah, sorry, I'm going off the track here, but one time there used to be one lady, perhaps Tripad might remember her, or she used to come to the temple quite regular. I haven't seen her much lately. She was quite big, quite big, and she would go into these ecstasies during the arti, you know, crying and things like that. Because and then she brought her grandchildren or her daughters, and they would come every time they would come to the temple. They would see their mother do this thing. So then they started coming to the temple without the mother, and guess what they were doing? Doing the same thing, because that's what you do when you go to a temple. You know, you really get emotional. You know, so yes, yes. So, unfortunately, some persons do this to enhance their, false prestige, and sometimes they try to attract. It gets really. You can imagine where it goes. You know, some people they actually become intoxicated with the adoration that comes. Anyway, need we say no more about that? Okay, now. Okay, we've still got some time left. So this is very interesting here. This is again from Nectar of Devotion. Uh, Rupa Goswami, he gives 9 symptoms that one can discern whether persons who may be displaying these symptoms of ecstasy, sattvika vichar, um, whether they're actually blessed by Suddha Sattva or they're just cheating. Yeah, because these cannot be imitated very easily. Yeah, and they cannot be imitated, definitely not for an extended period of time. And also, sometimes the question comes up: well, how can you recognize an advanced devotee? How can someone who's really advanced? Well, here, just look at these symptoms here. Now, just place your mind upon our respective spiritual masters who have been practicing devotional service for 40, 50 years. You're going to recognize these in advanced Vaishnavas, in senior Vaishnavas. Yeah. So let's look at the. Let me just read this part here. This is when the seed of ecstatic emotion for Krishna fructifies, the following 9 symptoms manifest in one's behavior. Then it lists the 9 symptoms. Yeah. So these are called anubhava. These are subordinate signs of emotion. Okay. So let's just go through them briefly. You can read more about these, I think is given in Nectar of Devotion. So forbearance, forgiveness. Yeah. There's, yes. We can, I think Chandravali sometimes, we should practice it. We have to practice it, especially as Brahmins, those who are Brahmins. It's one of the main symptoms of a Brahmin. That he or she is very, very forgiving. Yeah. But often we have to practice it. We may be in a certain situation where we don't feel like forgiving. But it's good, we should practice it. That's a sadhana. Let me learn to forgive this devotee. Even though I feel hurt, I should learn to forgive, you know. But for someone at the stage of bhava, they don't have to convince themselves to forgive. It's that's just their default nature, because there's all the ecstatic devotion. So they forgive everyone naturally. And they're not like doing a sadhana that they have to convince themselves, oh, I have to forgive. No, I don't want to forgive. No, no, I will forgive. I will forgive. Actually, I won't forgive. You get the idea? You know, you may forgive someone for 2 days, then a week later, Anyway,
I
going a bit here.
think you forgive, but what devotees have done to you, forgive. But you don't forget to go
That's the
back
whole
to
thing.
the same situation again.
Yeah, and if you really want to get into this, Mahatma does a whole seminar on this, forgiveness. But actually, I've not got nothing. It's a wonderful seminar, but actually, if you get to Bhava, then it comes naturally. But we should forgive. So anyway, the symptoms of advanced soul is that they're forgiving. and they don't waste time. Yeah. They're not going to be frittering out on YouTube watching nonsense videos of ducks crossing the road or, things like that. You know, they don't waste any time. Prabhupada never waste any time. Avyakta kalatvam. Yeah. They don't lose a moment in unrelated activities to Krishna. Like today I was speaking to one of the main servants of Jayapataka Maharaj. He's one of the main servants here in Mayapur. And I was curious, what does he do? How much does he sleep? How does he chant his rounds and this and that? And how much management does he do? And yeah, he's completely absorbed in service. Jayapataka Maharaj doesn't waste 1 second. He's still attending meetings here in Mayapur and doing, and organizing so much, looking after so many disciples, giving so much shiksha. It's like he doesn't waste any time. Every moment is used. He sleeps about 3 or 4 hours. He might sleep a bit more in a day, but he doesn't waste any time. So again, yeah, we should want to not waste time. And we're conditioned souls, so sometimes we're going to get distracted, on the internet, whatever. But just letting you know, the symptoms of ecstatic devotee is that they don't waste time, and they're detached as well. Yeah. So they're indifferent to sense gratification. They're not trying to decide whether, determined to give up something sent. They're not trying to. Their heart's purified. So they're naturally detached. Yeah. They have this natural detachment from the world and everything that goes on in the world. Yeah. So an example given this is Maharaj Bharat. Yeah. He was in the prime of youth, it's described. Yeah. And he gave up attraction to his wife, children, friends, opulent kingdom. Yeah. Just as someone, if you know this verse, just as someone gives up store after evacuating. Okay, I mean, you don't hang around. You flush it. You're not very attached to it. Oh, so no, you get the idea. So detached, they're detached. Maharaj Bharat is examples given. They're without false pride. Yeah. It's one of the symptoms of someone who has ecstatic love. It's quite an interesting symptom. Although they're very, very advanced, they're probably one of the most advanced souls on the earth. But they think themselves one of the most fallen. Yeah. That's a sign of a self-realized or a great soul. They have then they're not proud. It's the antithesis of spiritual advancement. If someone is proud, it's the actual antithesis, it's the opposite. So all this happens with this ray of prema when it touches the heart. Automatic, they're free of their Trinadipi Sanityana Torodapi Shishna Manina Kitana Soda Hari. Also, it's mentioned in Brihat Bhagavatam Rita that prema or love naturally develops humility, and humility prepares the ground for prema. So they feed each other. Okay, so again, these, you can imagine, these symptoms cannot be imitated by people very easy. These symptoms are displayed all the time, 24/7. Yeah, that is their persona. Yeah, and also, well, it's a great hope. Yeah, yeah, they have this great hope. In other words, we are almost so fallen, but Krishna is so kind. They have this great unending hope. Krishna gave mercy to Putana. Yeah. So they have this great, also this comes together with eagerness, this great hope and eagerness is hard. It means eagerness means ardent desire to become the Lord's loving associate. So they carry this abhilash, they carry this mood with them all the time. Great hope. And again, if you listen to our senior devotees speaking, they have this great hope of achieving Vrindavan, Goloka Vrindavan. I mean, I know my Guru Maharaj, he has this, and your respective spiritual masters. The underlying, at the end of the day, that's what they're carrying in their heart. This great hope of attaining Krishna's mercy, yeah, meaning being situated in their loving devotion to Krishna in the spiritual world, yeah. So eagerness, I just read this here, means ardent desire to become the Lord's loving associate. This eagerness is expressed through prayers like, "O Krishna, O flute player, the sweetness of your early age is wonderful within these three worlds. You know my unsteadiness, and I know yours. No one else knows about this. I want to see your beautiful, attractive face somewhere in a solitary place, but how can this be accomplished?" Yeah. This is their ardent inner desire. Yeah. Nothing material. Yeah. Okay. And here, a taste for chanting the holy name. Again, we can see in our respective senior devotees, again, such a great taste for chanting. I mean, Mahavishnu Maharaj, does he have a taste for chanting? He has a taste for chanting. And other, in Radhanath Swami Maharaj, and others, Indraduma Swami, you see all the advanced Vaishnavas have such a taste for chanting. And also for glorifying Krishna's qualities. Yeah. We describe this like a drug that they cannot give up. Yeah. Of course, we've all seen druggies, yeah, hanging around London and druggies, you know. I haven't seen many in Mayapur. But there are druggies, but they're druggies for the holy name. Yeah. So glorifying Krishna's qualities like a drug they cannot give up. Yeah. And also a love for the places where Krishna resides. You see, again, I'm thinking of Indraduma Maharaj. What's his place that he loves? You have to unmute.
Vrindavan?
Vrindavan, yeah.
Vrindavan.
He's such, he loves Vrindavan. Why? Because he's an ecstatic devotee. Yeah? Because it's a place where Krishna performed these pastimes on Navadvip. Yeah? And it is, yeah. Now, only when these 9 symptoms, when they are present in full, and when they do not wane, do not wane or disappear at any time, that's a symptom that this person is very, very advanced, yeah, at the stage of, because they bhava, you see, yeah, stage of bhava. Of course, there's different stages of bhava, okay? Yeah. Okay. Then Amar brings it some interesting, sobering words here. It says, to be carried away by wishful thinking, to see what one would like to see in oneself or in others, is not true to our Siddhanta. Okay, it has happened where in the past where devotees, yeah, for instance, devotees artificially impose these symptoms when they might not be there. Yeah, so Prabhupada is saying, Shivaram Swami Maharaj is saying here, we must learn to identify devotion and devotees according to the symptoms the acharyas have given. Right? So we have to be a little bit discerning, a little bit discriminating. It's quite a fine art because in one sense we don't want to find, we don't want to be finding faults in devotees. But we should be very clear on the symptoms of advanced devotees, and sometimes you're going to see it not displayed. It doesn't mean we go on a rampage and think, in critical mood. We're just educated. Generally, younger devotees who first join, you're not going to see these symptoms. They might become very proud or very arrogant, etc. It's not as if we're being critical. Being critical means we make an issue of it. And if we start to criticize them because of it, then that's an offense. Because they're in the process of devotional service. They're in the shower and they're getting clean. And if we see a devotee who may be sometimes not forgiving or get angry, and we start criticizing them for that. That's an offense, you know, because they're in the process of becoming purified. Of course, if you're in a position of seniority and you have a duty to be guiding devotees, yeah, then you may bring it up in a constructive way. That's another subject. But again, especially because most of you are senior devotees here, so you're going to see younger people join, and sometimes they may not display all these symptoms. Sometimes devotees get very critical of the younger brahmacharis in the temple. Of course, they should be living to quite a high ideal, but sometimes you're going to see not ideal behavior. So it doesn't mean we then, make a whole campaign about it. That's mean, we may just be envious. Anyway, I'm getting too carried away here. Any questions or comments? Tripad's still here? He's gone. He's had enough. Hare Krishna. He's busy. Yeah. Okay, so how many? 2 minutes. Let's just finish this slide here. Yes. Yes. Devotees fixed in their ability to discriminate have the topmost qualification. Okay, we have to. The Uttama Adhikari, topmost qualification is Uttam, for pure devotion. So there's suitable candidates for Bhava Bhakti. Yeah, so we shouldn't be, yeah, they're not easily fooled by showy symptoms of advancement. Not easily be fooled. Sometimes neophyte devotees or impersonalists display symptoms of display ecstatic symptoms. This is called a shadow. Yeah. Now sometimes it's without ill intent. Yeah. That's by this shadow. For instance, they come into a sangha of devotees and enter into a kirtan of devotees, ecstatic kirtan, and they become touched, and they become emotional, and they can, feel devotion and etc. That's the mercy of the devotees, but it doesn't last. It's kind of a shadow. It comes by the grace of the Vaishnavas, and then it kind of, like the sun, then it goes, yeah. Yeah. So Denmark says here, finishing here, devotees must always bear in mind the importance of giving respect to Vaishnavas. Yeah, especially those advanced Vaishnavas in whom pure ecstasy or love has awakened. We should give them more respect. We should give all devotees respect, but especially our advanced senior devotees. We give great respect for them, Okay, so we only a couple of slides. Okay, any last questions or comments on this? Okay, something and yes, Baladev.
Hi, Krishna. So it seems that just wanted to just to clarify. So is it that all of these symptoms are should be visible at once in such a devotee, or is it that they are sort of can be isolated as well? Like, is that the criteria for assessing somebody at this stage?
No, these will all be manifest.
Everything, okay.
Everything will be manifested constantly, all the time, 24 hours a day. When they reach touch with the ray of prema, at that point they're liberated from their material bondage and conditioning. And from a material perspective, they're perfected souls. Still got journey to go on the path of bhava up to different stages of prema. But yeah, to answer your question, you're going to see all of these. I mean, if you see them, if they're forgiving and are not wasting time and they're detached, etc., but they're proud, then it's not.
Right.
We may be we may feel pride in ourselves, then we can. Yeah. Vijay Krishna Prabhu, yes.
Yes, Murli Prabhu, thank you very much. You focused on the symptoms of the devotees in ecstasy.
Yes.
My question would be, what about the symptoms, at least one, because the time is limited, at least one, what are the symptoms of the neophyte? Give me, if I may ask, at least one.
Yeah, well, it's a good question actually, because all these you're going to see in serious Vaishnavas, even at any stage of Krishna consciousness, you're going to see these symptoms are developing. Yeah, even all these symptoms to like one degree or another. You know, as devotees, you know, okay, they're not the stage of Bhav, maybe the stage, let's say the stage prior to Anartha Nivriti. So their character may be quite unsteady. So they may not always manifest humility, for example. Yeah. But you're going to see, even perhaps we can look in that introspect within ourselves, and hopefully we're a little bit, with some detachment has arisen. So it's a good point. These are the qualities which will naturally develop in the process of bhakti, but they will fully manifest in the real sense of the term at this stage of bhava. Before that, we practice. Because we hear about devotees at bhava and how they're forgiving. So then we decide, oh, let me also learn to forgive. And we do that as a sadhana. I think I mentioned at the beginning. So then we try to be forgiving. We try not to waste time. Sometimes we fail, but we try not to waste time, etc. Yeah. But thank you for bringing that point up.
You're welcome, Prabhu. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Okay, let's pause there, and hopefully we can do the same thing next week. Okay. So thank you for joining us, and Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitya Premanandi Hari Bol Hari Krishna.
Vivo.
Krishna Krishna Hari 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare.